Are we on? Are we crooked a little? Gonna live with it. Hello? Are we in? Everyone? Ooh. Stream good? Stream live? Hello? Is this on? Hey everyone. Maybe the stream's a minute or two behind. Hey! Holy Dog, what's up? And Steven. Oh, you just started Galaxy Bound Curse. Cool, thanks for trying that. Yeah, you have an update coming for that, just to add a couple extra features and fix some graphical glitches here and there. So yeah, I hope you have fun with Galaxy Bound Curse. Yeah. What if you don't mind my asking, how are what hardware are you playing Galaxy Bound Curse on? Because I loaded it onto a flash cartridge while I was developing it, and man, it was really cool playing Galaxy Bound Curse on an actual original Game Boy. So I tested on the Game Boy and a Game Boy Color, and of course I've got these bright studio lights. So I was sitting here with my Game Boy, and I had all the light, in the world, but obviously when I was a kid, you don't have bright studio lights, so it's harder to light up a Game Boy Color. I did have one of those latch-on things with the magnifying glasses and the light thing, so I had that for my Game Boy Color. EverDrive GBA. Oh, nice. I hope it's the SP with the nice strong backlight. I've only got one of those. I've got a couple GBA ESPs with the front lighting, and it's like, man, they don't look anywhere near as good as a nice backlit one. Hey, Spiral Light, how's it going? Thanks. Hey, they're hard to find if even a front light is better than the... I've never had the original Game Boy Advance that didn't have any light, that's sort of the rectangle one. I've never had one of those. My friends had them, and I knew I didn't want one because they were real hard to see. So I remember getting a front light one, and that one's... Oh yeah, they're hard to find. Yeah. Luckily, I bought a broken one, a backlit one, and then I just fixed some stuff on it. But yeah, even the front light one's like much better than the original Game Boy Advance. So what I'm working on today is I'm creating the mission data for Frontier Hunters in White Inside its Umbra. So if anyone's familiar with 3 Down Stars, that has Frontier Fighters mode, and it's just, you can kind of zone out and play that for hours and go on missions and fight enemies and stuff. You just keep collecting skills and weapons, and you keep powering up and customizing your characters and trying different things. So with Frontier Hunters, that's going to have the same kind of appeal, except the game is now an arcade-style light gun shooter. So it's on rails, you don't have to walk around or anything. So it's pretty chill, and I think it's pretty fun to test with other people. And then you can get a player to use the gamepad, and then the gamepad player can reload ammunition for the weapons that the other players aren't using. So you can streamline that process, and then the gamepad player can also take some items into battle. These gizmos are enormous. Let me shrink them down. So I'll show you guys what I'm working on here. So how the system works here is I have what are called, inside the mission data, I have combat spots. And a combat, I have to turn my gizmo on just a little bit so you can see. So the combat spot defines where the camera needs to be, and then it also designates the spots where enemies can spawn from. So you can see I have 6 spots indicated by these green arrow things. If the music's too loud, just let me know. So within a combat spot, your characters are going to look for combat steps. So in this spot that I've selected, you can see I have 4 steps. I could make it 20 steps if I wanted, but that would get old. It would get boring pretty fast. So in general, I usually put like a step description. So for anyone that uses Unity, this is a fun trick. I really like doing this. If you've got like an array of like a custom class, if the first entry is a string, then in your array or your list, you'll see the name up there. So if you make that first entry a string, it doesn't even need to have a particular name. The string name is step description here, so when my array is closed, I can quickly see if I change that, this is, your mother. There you go, you can see the name changes in the array, but that's not your mother, it's 2 wolves. And then you can see inside each combat step, I have spawn instructions. So I open up my instructions, and I pick the enemies that I want to spawn. So I've got enemy wolf 1, and I pick the spawn position from which that enemy will spawn. So if I pick this one here, you can see that it selects that. So I have an enemy that's going to spawn there. If I return to my combat step, this guy, and I'll have a second one spawn there. So that's how I designate how enemies spawn. Once it's finished, if I say I want the completion requirement to be defeat all enemies, or just defeat one enemy so you can leave the other ones there, or have a time limit. So say for example I want to have an area where there's items they can pick up. There's no enemies there, but you have a short amount of time to pick up any items that are sitting on the ground. Then I would put a time limit, and I would say, you've got like 6 seconds to try and pick up those items. I'm going to leave that at defeat all enemies. You went from GBC straight to Frontlight GBASP. That's a big upgrade. Mark Anime Studios, how's it going? Thanks for joining the stream. Guardians and Metal Exterminators have a new boss challenge every day of the year. No, the missions are different. The game creates a random mission for you every time you complete a mission. So whether you fail or complete a mission, it'll create a brand new one for you. The game you're thinking of is probably one that I mentioned, which is Gaiden Deathly Delusion Destroyers. That one's going to, every single day will have a new unique boss challenge. And the boss could be like, it's weak to fire, but it's immune to everything else. So you'll have to build a team specifically around taking down the boss of the day. So every day will be a different challenge, and I think it'd be a fun game even if you played it, months or a year from now. You boot it up, you see the boss challenge, and you think, oh, this will be pretty fun. I'll see if I can beat him, and then you see if you can take down the boss. So it's meant to be a pretty easy, casual game to jump into for a few minutes here and there. Ultra Moon Trainer, how's it going? Oh, thanks. I'm just a guy. I love video games just like you do. So I just want to make fun games that people can enjoy. Yeah. Yeah, the music that's playing is the music that is from the various games. I've just sort of randomly grabbed them from all the folders. But this week I kind of have to go pretty crazy because the soundtracks for all the upcoming games, except for White Inside Its Umbra, they're all unfinished. So I need to finish the soundtracks, which means I have a couple days out of each week to finish the soundtrack for each game, and then submit those as well. Yeah, if you can. It's Nintendo doesn't distribute Unity anymore, so unfortunately I don't know anything about building a homebrew app. But I hope that you can find some good guides on that so you can create your own games. I hope the homebrew community stays strong, because that's how we get cool stuff after consoles see the end of support. Is there a game live on Switch or Wii U? No. Right now we only have um, Three Down Stars on the 3DS, and then Undertakers, and then Episode Prelude. And then Episode Prelude is the roughest one. We were using a version of Unity that had a lot of problems, and I was so exhausted at that point. But I do have a new version of Unity that's much more stable, so I'm going to bring huge, huge improvements to Episode Prelude on the Switch. Yeah, I make the soundtrack all myself, and I try to create a different defining sound for each game. Um, I usually try to compose the music along with the themes of the overall story. Um, for example, in Three Down Stars, the vast majority of the soundtrack in Three Down Stars are using downward arpeggios. So if you were to sort of look at the music written out, on sheet music or whatever, you'll see the vast majority of music, the notes are increasingly falling down faster and faster, and that's to sort of help create this sense of something falling from the sky, which is what Three Down Stars was about. Oh, yeah, thanks. Um, so I wanted to create on Galaxy Bound Curse. I wanted to create music the way that I guess they would have done back then, which is using a tracker. And I'd never used a tracker before, and a tracker's a software they use to create music, for the Game Boy and whatnot. Oh, that was a challenge. It's not like, you know, I in my setup I could, push things on a keyboard, so it kind of looked like moon speak to me. It was a totally different language. But the soundtrack that I'm writing for Ghoul Busters, I'm also writing that so you can run it through the Game Boy, because I want it to be absolutely genuine. We have, excuse me, we have the teaser trailer for Ghoul Busters, and you can hear the theme music there. Then I wrote that the same way that I wrote Galaxy Bound Curse soundtrack, so you can hear that. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, and yeah, keep in mind there's a couple weird, funny glitches in episode Prelude, and then I was supposed to include a um, a radiation detector. That's supposed to be an app. You have a limited tech pad in episode Prelude, and I wanted there to be like a radiation detector. The key items are radioactive, and then you're supposed to be able to detect them and find them. And then I didn't have time to implement that in episode Prelude, so I will be including that in an update. Oh, you have Unity for 3DS and Wii U. Oh, cool. Yeah, you know what? While you can try and make some stuff. Yeah, games are fun. Have I've been tr I think I did my first game, ooh, 2003. The summer of 2003, I published my first game. Well, published. I mean, I was a kid, wasn't I? But I put the game on discs, and I was selling it for $2 a copy. So technically, it's self-published. Um, and that was with Game Maker. It must have been like Game Maker 4 or 5 maybe. But that was a lot of fun. It was like a pet simulator, but they were monsters, and uh, they were meant to battle each other, sort of thing. It's just a fun thing. So I'm sort of looking at this, right? I think I've messed something up. This is where it's good to check. So you see how Ooh, I'm just gonna compress that. You can see I've got one of my enemy spawn zones here is actually outside of the field of view of the camera. There's the camera, and then so enemies can spawn outside of it. That's pretty bad. So I'll just fix that now. I'll go like this. How about that? And we'll check it again. They're barely out of the line of sight. So I'm sort of looking at where the enemies can spawn here. And I'm kind of thinking maybe that guy needs to move in a little bit more. So, like this. Move that guy in like that. All right, RoboCoop. So to get 100%, you'll have to reply to every single text message. So as Million is sending you messages through the thing, there's certain ones that if you miss those, it won't progress to the next part of the story. So Yeah, you know, it's quite short. The desert house area is quite short. Once you know where all the items are, you can rush through it pretty fast. So you can actually even get you can speedrun the whole thing, you know, and you can actually finish the desert house section before Million even sends you all the messages. They just want to make sure you reply to every single one, and then that will allow you to get to 100%. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think you also have to take his gun from him. So when you talk, before you talk to him, when you are at the bonfire, he's got a gun next to him. You have to make sure you take that from him. I'm pretty sure. Otherwise, it won't let you go to the next area. Right. So the pricing of the upcoming games, uh, I'm trying to finalize it, uh, but just off the top of my head, because I know that prices are they really suck right now. Everything around the world's kind of a bummer. Gas prices are through the roof, and you know, um, so I lowered the prices from what I originally planned, and I'd made a couple minor, you know, people had asked, so I've lowered them a bit. So White Inside Its Umbra will most likely be 22 US dollars, and these are tentative. Just looking at them, if I can manage to lower them more, I will. Um, so I'm hoping White Inside Its Umbra will probably be $22. Gaiden is probably going to be the next one priced up. That probably is going to be probably 15 or 16 US dollars. And then the other games are generally between $9 and $12, something to that effect. Where's the 2D thing? Where'd the 2D button go? Oh, you know what? I've orthographized it. So, Undertakers on the Wii U will be $9. I think Ghoul Busters will be 12. I think Vicarious Brothers will either be 12 or 14, something to that effect. So I'm trying to keep them in that price range where they're pretty easy to pick up. Um, yeah. What I'm really hoping is that we sell enough copies, because people are often asking for physical versions of the game. And so I'm hoping these games will sell well enough so that uh, all of our upcoming games that we'll be focusing on for the Switch, hopefully we'll sell enough of these to where I'll be able to provide physical copies of games for our future stuff. Yeah, um, oh, Unity for certain platforms, it's yeah, you get it, you get it. There's just really weird, funny things wrong, and you have to trick it into working. You just have to come up with a bunch of tricks, and unfortunately, that means that you end up spending more time tricking Unity into working when you should have spent that time actually developing your game. And that's just part of the game, you know. If you can do it, you can do it. Have I finished? I think, okay, I'm looking at this, right? I'm looking at this. I think I wanted to aim the camera this way. That's what I wanted. Right. And again, this is, if you're just jumping in and you've missed the explanation, I'm designating the spot where your camera will sit during missions. So it's like a on-rails arcade style light gun shooter. So I'm just designating the spots where the camera goes in between each part of the level. So I'm sort of looking at this and I'm thinking, that's probably, here's what I like to do. Hold on. Let me just grab one of my assets here. Um, um, okay. Let's see here. Not auditioning here. I'm just looking off screen to my other screen here. Um, hmm. Hub actor hold. Yep. Let's grab one of my hub actors here. So I got all my actors. Oh, you can see him sitting by the campfire there. Let's grab. I don't want to spoil anything here. Oh, you know what? Here we go. Here's our good boy. That's a good boy. There's our guy. There's our guy. Maverick D Moose. So, if there's anyone out there who enjoys playing 3 Down Stars and Frontier Hunters mode, um, and you also have Episode Prelude, or you know someone who has Episode Prelude, make sure you code link 3 Down Stars to Episode Prelude, because you will get an exclusive costume for Maverick. I think that it's a very special costume, but people have messaged me and told me that it's cursed. It's a cursed costume. So, hey, you can be special and cursed, you know. I think if you if you can fill both of those spots, then that's all better for you. Oh, I've got a bit of a funny thing here. I'll have to fix those antlers before I do that. So I just want to make sure the camera is in a pretty reasonable spot. There we go. Let me fix this. That's real funny, isn't it? All right, we'll fix them like that. Don't know what happened there. We fixed them, everybody. We've done it. Okay. Okay. Sock, thank you for working so hard. I appreciate that. Thanks for being interested in the games and for picking them up. You know, I'll do my best to make them a lot of fun. So I really appreciate that. I really do. Spiral Light, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to make sure I finalize all the prices before I make an official announcement, because I don't want to ask people to put more in their accounts than they need, you know. But if you have more in your accounts, you can also pick up other games, because there's developers that are putting a couple other last-minute titles. They're really passionate about putting some cool games on the consoles too. So yeah, see if those are things that you'd be interested in. Yeah, unfortunately, so Limited Run has finished creating games for those consoles, really unfortunately. And even if we really wanted to, we wouldn't be able to, because in order to sell a physical retail game, you have to register it with Nintendo, and they stopped accepting those a while ago. So it was actually just, it was really generous of them to still extend digital games and give us the opportunity to do that. Oh, right, to slow down the text speed. That is something that people have requested. So I will, yeah, I'm glad you reminded me of that. So that is a feature that I'll put into Episode Prelude with the update. I'll definitely do that, so that I can have the text display for longer, and then you can push a button to skip it after a certain amount of time. So thanks for that, RoboCoop. Poor Maverick. I don't know whether his family's been eaten or not, or whether his family's like a special moose royalty and they just decide not to eat Maverick's family. Probably that. So release dates. I don't 100% have that locked down yet, and that's because I'm still working on the final launch day versions of the games, and I want to make sure that they're absolutely right. You know, I don't want to put anything out there that is subpar, but I have told Nintendo one I'll be submitting one game a week this month, and then of course next month as well I'll be submitting the final versions. So I don't know how long it will take for them to process each title, but I would like to launch it. So I expect they'll start launching within, I'm hoping within the next month and a half to 2 months they'll start launching. And then after that, maybe we'll see one game launch every other week, probably. So that's what I'm hoping for. Okay. So right now I'm just designating the spots where enemies can spawn for this combat spot. Ah, oh man. Automaton Lung looks really cool. I do love a good 3D platformer, so that game looks pretty rad. And what was the what's the Wii U game? Oh, so I was looking at it the other day. Yeah, my brain is absolutely frazzled. I'm still trying to catch up on sleep. Oh, Fragrant Story looks so cool too. What's the Wii U? Something about time? Was it some? My brain is hanging in there. I'm telling you. All right, so this way it looks like enemies will drop down from the trees. Okay, so I got that combat spot. So, which of my okay, that combat spot is. Well, I'm sort of thinking. So we need a way for enemies to come in from the side, as well. So maybe from this side of the tree. How about that? Right here, enemies can spawn from right there. So I need to be careful because there are some enemies that don't move towards you. They just try to snipe you. Those kind of enemies are always jerks. So I just need to make sure that there's no spot where they'd be invisible, you know. So I'm sort of thinking right under this tree here would probably be good. Yeah. I'll put it back there. You know what? I think it's okay if I do this. I'm just going to... I need to be careful because this is the same map that's used in the gameplay, in the story gameplay. Yeah, I'm not gonna do any damage here. This will be all right. So if enemies spawn there and try to snipe you, I need to make sure. Okay, good. So to balance that out, I'm just gonna lower that a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So if enemies spawn there and try to snipe you, you can still hit them. Okay. Good. 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 Can you find eShop cards anywhere? Pad of Time. Yeah, that looked really cool. I saw that. So well done. Are you the developer on that? That looked really cool. Oh, well done. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you're able to get that on the Wii U. So yeah, nice one. Yeah, we've done it. You know, we've brought something that people can be happy and excited about to really enjoy on these systems. You know, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, and I don't really care about popular unpopular opinions. I like using the Wii U more than I like using the Switch. Obviously, the Switch has newer and more games. Definitely, Switch has more games, of course. But I have more fun with the Wii U for the games that use the gamepad in an interesting way. And also, there's something. This is weird. There's something that's satisfying about the Wiimote. Like, I could accidentally hit my friend in the head with it. And then say, oh, I didn't mean that. No, I'm trying to give you a concussion so I can have an advantage in Smash or Mario Kart. Whereas if you hit your friend with like a Joy-Con, like what are you going to do with that? What sort of damage are you going to do with a Joy-Con? You know, nothing. Joy-Cons are too safe. That's my problem with the system, really. Nice, yeah. And the Virtual Console on the Wii U is pretty fantastic, isn't it? You know, playing DS games on the Wii U, chef's kiss. You know, you can't do that on the Switch. You know. I might need to step away to get a refill on coffee in a minute. Brendan Carroll, hey, what's up? Thanks for jumping in. So if you're just joining, I'm just setting up the combat spots for the light gun arcade shooter mode. So this is the game data that tells the camera where to go for different parts of the levels, and then also where enemies can spawn. And I love this stuff. You know, I'm a gamer too, so seeing any game a little bit behind the curtain, I think is just, it's so rad. I'll show you a little bit of the logic here if you've missed it earlier. So each stage has combat steps, multiple combat steps, and inside each, or combat spots, and a combat spot is where the camera moves, and it says, okay, the camera will go here, the enemies will be here. And so right now I'm working on this combat spot, and you can see here there are different steps. So when you reach the spot, the game will go through the steps. So the first step is 2 wolves. I can pick whatever name I want in there, and I can, or if I want it to be 3 wolves, you know. Now I've got 3 wolves. Maybe I'll just change that to 3. And now you have 3 wolves that spawn. And you also pick the spawn point, yeah? So you don't want 2 wolves spawning in the same spot. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick, you know, yeah. Let's pick number 2 here. I'm looking off screen. So that way I've got a wolf that'll spawn there. Whoop, I zoomed in. He'll spawn there. And he'll spawn there, you know. And that's how that works. Just want to, so see, here's where I have to really be careful. This view tells me where the camera can see. So I can see 2 of my spots are not yet placed within the view of the camera. So let me just go ahead and put those back in there. So I can see it. I don't want it overly crowded, but I do want some variety. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move that one over a little bit. I'll bring that up just like that. So I need to be careful with this area because, again, like I mentioned, there's enemies that will just sit back and snipe you while the other enemies give you the business. So I need to make sure that I don't spawn those sniper enemies in a spot where you won't be able to hit them, because these trees, now this is the last spot in the stage, so I want it to be a little more challenging. So now you'll see enemies that are sort of approaching you from behind the tree line. That'll make it just a little more challenging, I think. I have one more spot that's out of view. Let me check the chat here. Oh yeah, you know, it's going to be tougher. You're right. Yeah, it'll be tougher to replace batteries for the Switch. The 3DS is so cool to collect, isn't it? All the different colors, you have the different graphics on the thing. I've got 5 3DSs. I've got one 2DS, and admittedly, like, this is my sad one. This is my first XL. I'm real sad about that. It happens when you play Smash, you know. I mean Smaforsh. So I played a whole lot of Smaforsh with my friends, and then one day the circle pad gave up. I don't have the time to open it up and fix it, and I also have other 3DS consoles, you know, and I'm so busy with development. So it's, if I want to play 3DS, I'll just use one of my other ones. Your Safeway is called Harris Teeter or Food Line. Harris Teeter, that's an interesting, I've not heard that one. First last. Yeah, we use like an HD 3DS. It's so great, you know. I really liked Spirit Tracks. I played it, you know, first on the 3DS, and I had a tough time because my hand was always in the way, so I'd get hit by enemies that were under my hand, and I didn't see them. But when you're playing like Spirit Tracks or Phantom Hourglass, I don't know, is Phantom Hourglass on the Wii U? I don't know. I've got Spirit Tracks on the, but yeah, because of the bigger screen, I don't have that problem. I can see the enemies because the screen's much bigger, so that's pretty rad. You wish Nintendo would have done a 3DS attachment for the Wii U like the Game Boy. Oh, that would have been so rad. Yeah, I agree. It would have been so rad. If the Wii U had been more clear in what the console was, I'm confident that it would have sold much better, and maybe we would have got more cool things like that. It's just a shame that it's such a difficult console to explain to people, and that's really where the problems came in, you know. So I'll actually, okay, look, I'll have an enemy that can spawn a little bit closer. How's that? That way, this one can sort of get the jump on you. You know, this is going to be the ambush enemy, right? So it's like he's coming out of the tree, and then, right, so I'm looking at it, and then at the preview down there so I can see what it's going to look like. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. It's a bit dark. So, and then if I turn the lighting on, there we go. There we go. Right. Cool, 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 cool. Those are my combat spots. So, what I actually want to do is, I don't want to spoil the whole game for you guys, but this is it. This is just the starting area. This is what I've shown in trailers. So, um, the Frontier Hunters mode also uses some of the map from the story mode for the action levels. So what I want to do is use more of the map as well to give variety for the levels. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to create another set of combat data. So let's go ahead and duplicate that, and I want to save this guy. And then I also like to create different time of day as well. So that way I can have a middle of the day and then a sunset time so the lighting looks interesting and I can have nice rich colors. RoboCoop, will the games be locked to Wii U and 3DS? So the whole point is that I want to give Wii U and 3DS players something special that's just for them. And it feels cheap to take something that I've already, you know, didn't spend that much time on. Say I'll put that on the Wii U because I want a cash grab or something, you know, and that's not my objectives with these games. I want to give something really special to these consoles, and luckily it's because the people that enjoy the games, the people that enjoy Three Down Stars and the others, we sell just enough to where it's bought me some time to where I can work on these games, and I'll put a poll out there, and I would ask first for the Wii U and 3DS owners that enjoy these games. I would ask them first, hey guys, I made these games just for you. And then after the shops, after the sales end and the dust settles, I'll put up a poll. I'll ask people, do you guys want to see these games ported to the Switch? Is that all right with you? Because I've made a promise that these games are just for the Wii U and 3DS, and it would be really poor form of me to break that promise and pull the rug out from under people. So I wouldn't do that without asking people, do you want this and is it okay? Because ahead of time I had promised people this is just for them. So if people are happy with that, if people would like me to bring these games to the Switch, what I'll do is hopefully I can package them up into a physical cartridge, and then we can get our first physical Silver Falls title. Yeah, Smash 4 most of the time is the culprit for those poor circle pads. I would think so, you know. None of my friends have said that their circle pads have broken, so obviously my friends are better at Smash than I am. Let's see here. Food Lion sounds so cool. I've never heard of it, but if I did see a Food Lion, I'd go in for a cool name. You can stream... Okay. I saw a YouTube video of someone streaming from the 3DS to the Wii U, and I thought that was extremely cool. That's awesome. I don't have homebrew on Wii U or anything like that, but I wish one of my friends did. You know, I'd love to see that. That'd be really cool. Is it possible to release physical games without Nintendo after it goes offline, or do you still need permission? I don't know. We often see people create titles for legacy systems, like we see people making physical Atari Lynx, physical NES, physical Mega Drive games. So I'm sure there'll be people out there that do know what the situation is, but it seems to be happening, and companies don't seem to have a big problem with it because it doesn't affect their ability to sell their products, you know? So I would suspect that it's probably not a problem. If that's something that people want us to look into, you know. So what I'm doing is I'm just scoping out a pretty chill spot. So this is going to be the starting spot. This is a new combat stage, so I'm picking out the first spot. I think, you know what, let's do a chill spot. This is gonna be pretty chill. I'm going to put this here. So I'm looking down here. Yeah, yeah, that's probably right. Okay, cool. I would love to see 3DS streaming to Wii U in person. Okay, like a Game Boy player, like attachments for 3DS cartridges. That would be the coolest thing. The Wii U has USB slots, you know, it wouldn't be hard for them to make something that just connects through USB. So, that'd be so rad. Are you a fan of Silent Hill? Yes, I am a massive fan of Silent Hill. There's a time in my life where that's probably all I talked about. I probably only ever talked about Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Zelda, Final Fantasy. That's probably all I talked about. But my friends at school, that's that's all we would talk about during school. No one wants to talk about, oh, math and history class. No, you want to go there, you want to talk about Silent Hill and Resident Evil 2. So I'm a big fan of Silent Hill. And I do understand that the people that made the Silent Hill games that I really enjoy and that I feel passionate about, those teams are disbanded. We won't ever be able to get the same kind of games that have the intent and the vision of those original games, because those teams are gone. The creative forces behind those games are gone. And it's a bummer, but I 100% accept that that's just how it is, you know, and I appreciate that we got those games. But it's, you know, I would have really liked to see the Silent Hills thing worked out, but I also knew that it wasn't going to have the same creative vision and the same intent as the original title. So I sort of saw the PT thing as like, it's a sort of a reboot because you have different creative forces behind it. And we're never going to get a Silent Hill ever again that matches the intent of the original games. And that's just how it is, but I think that makes them more special at the end of the day. Which one is this? Why is he like that? Which one is that? Oh, he's that one. Here we go. So first I'm gonna line them up, right? I should have done this to begin with, it's faster. So I just make sure they're all within the camera's view. Then I'll just drop them in here. I'll look at my terrain and I'll see what makes sense. So I don't want enemies to get caught on these trees here. They could probably get stuck on it. You know, enemies, they can be, you know what they can be like. You got a stool there, you got a chair, you got a rock, that enemy, he'll find a way to get stuck on it. Robocoop, yes, I make all the music for the Silver Falls games, every single piece of music. Oh, Mark Anime Studios. So your Pad of Time is out next week? That's very exciting. Well done. Oh yeah, thanks. I'm glad you like the environments and whatnot. It was very tough with the 3DS, um, obviously because you have smaller, you have restrictions and whatnot. Um, but if you believe in yourself and you try hard, you can break the bounds. You can break through invisible boundaries. I always enjoy people will send me a message once in a while, or they'll send me a short video clip and they'll say, "Oh man, I just like dodge rolled a certain way against this thing and I got past the invisible wall," and they'll climb to the highest point on the map. So I always enjoy that. I love that kind of stuff. And I always tried to do that stuff in games, and the fact that I can bring some boundary breaking enjoyment to people is pretty rad. Steven, thanks. I really appreciate that. I'm so grateful that you're enjoying the games. Um, and I do have major updates that are going to bring massive improvements. The one thing I'm really excited about with Three Down Stars is I'm going through every single texture in the game and reworking every single texture. The game will be much more stable because we had issues with Unity that caused crashes, but I'm always improving. I'm always trying to improve as a developer. So I found a way to make the game more stable, run faster, and get better looking visuals. What actually happened was um, I just turned on my Vita the other day, and I just thought it'd be fun. I'll just put some of my Silver Falls character models in a Vita homebrew and run it. And it looked like my face melted. It looked so good. It's an OLED screen, they look fantastic. So I was looking at my Silver Falls characters on the Vita OLED, and I'm thinking, what? Can't I get them to look any better in Three Down Stars? So I booted up um, Three Down Stars, and I spent like an hour or two reworking some textures, and I'd done some bit of work. And at that point I understood finally when I put the OLED Vita next to the 3DS. The 3DS screens in general are quite washed out. That's just like a characteristic of them. So I thought if I modify the textures in a way where like they're really overly saturated, so on the computer they look disgusting. It looks like it looks like a Candyland board game. But then when you load it onto the 3DS, if you do it a certain way, it has a really nice, punchy, contrasty, clean look to it. That's quite nice with the colors. And so I thought, look, if I just manually go through the entire game, rework all the texture models, I'll be able to increase the resolutions on a number of the textures, and I can overall give the game a much better look. So I will be doing uh, an update to Three Down Stars to have a much better stability and performance and better visuals as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Doc Patate, Doc Patate. Is as far as you know, as long as you don't infringe any license copyright, is okay. So are you talking about sort of creating like your own game and then creating physical media for it? Because that would be very rad, very cool. Um, yeah. I guess I've sort of like forced my brain into just having to multitask. Uh, as a developer, you're often waiting for the computer to do things. So I usually have multiple workstations open, and if I see this computer wants to do something for 15 minutes, I can hop over to another workstation. I can work on another game simultaneously as well. And then I often have my music um, uh, composing station open as well. So if I've got two games and all of a sudden they're at a point where they're both processing, I can go and I can work on some music for a bit. So. Hey, you teach history. I didn't mean that in like a mean way. I'm just saying that when I was in school, the teachers didn't teach history in an engaging way, and it's a shame because I'm a huge fan of history now. As an adult, I understand how interesting it is, but in high school, they didn't really teach it in an interesting way. You only wish Konami doesn't make another Silent Hill pachinko. Look, I think that's all we're gonna get. So if you want Silent Hill, you're gonna have to learn how to play pachinko. I don't know how to play pachinko, but I still love Silent Hill. One day I'll learn how to do pachinko. That way I can I can enjoy new Silent Hill products. GameStop had almost no 3DS games and 0 DS, Wii, and Wii U games on display. I felt I felt quite bummed out when I went to EB Game here in Australia, and they had like three Vita games on the shelf, and I felt so bad. And I was thinking, I really believed in this console. I really wanted it to be so cool. What a bummer, you know. All right, I'm gonna look overhead. Look, I'm thinking it would be good if I could have enemies come in from here as well. So this area is kind of cramped. What I'm going to do now, I'm gonna move this guy like that. This guy, right there. We have more variety for enemies to approach now. Okay, and there we go. Oh, see, I'm looking at the terrain. The enemies are going to be... How about this? How about this? Ah, yeah, how about that? There we go. That's better. Oops, what have I done? Okay, right there. Okay, this guy's needs to be adjusted. So he looks pretty good. How about we'll put him sort of like he drops down from the... Oops. Drop down from the tree. Yeah, there we go. So I'm looking at it. Well, let's look at our camera one more time. See, this guy's on the fringe now. I don't know what happened, but enemies might be able to snipe you from off screen. Early in testing, I had one where it was off screen and I had an enemy sniping me from off screen. It was just one of those moments where you sort of hang your head and you're thinking, oh, this game, it's unfair. All right, so I'm just going to look. Where's my camera? Here we go. Okay. So what I've done is not good. If an enemy spawns at that point, he'll be able to snipe me endlessly. So what I will do is I'm going to move this here. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at it. Boy, that's a heck of an angle. Let's just smoothen this out a bit. Oop, I don't want to flat earth this. There we go. That's better, isn't it? Oop, better check the chat. Hey, Mark Anime Studios, well, congratulations on your game. 3 a.m. there. Whoa. Well, thanks for hanging out on the stream. We'll hang out again soon. We'll chat games again soon. So take care. Zelda N64 fan. Hey, what's up? You've been around for ages. You've been a supporter for a very long time, so I appreciate that. Chris Demation, congratulations. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Really, I absolutely couldn't have done it without everyone showing their support, because there were multiple times where I wondered, does anyone even care about these 7 games? Because it's a massive amount of work. But you know, when people message and they said that they were looking forward to the games, that's really what kept me going, and just pushing through it and saying, I promised the games, people are looking forward to it, I have to do it. So you know, it's really thanks to the people all around the world, and it's thanks to Nintendo for really helping me as well. The 7 games, what are the ratio? Yes, 4 3DS games and 3 Wii U. Yeah, for Samuelson, Tremblin. But I was a little bit sneaky. Because I couldn't register any further game codes, I actually had another 3DS game that I had canceled in 2021. So I've packed that into one of the 3DS games. So one of the 3DS games titles, Gaiden Deathly Delusion Destroyers, is actually 2 games in one. I just included the second game for free. And I'm trying to get something packed into one of the games as well, something extra. But it's such a demanding workload right now, I don't know if I'll be able to get that extra thing packed in. So we'll see what happens. How do you struggle with creative burnout? I really struggle with this at times with my music. Any methods or tricks you use to help? I have some advice, I guess. I mean, it's not my good advice is a healthy diet. It's important to have a healthy diet. Um, and I love biting into like a giant fresh crisp apple that's been sitting in the fridge, um, staying hydrated and whatnot. Uh, but my bad advice is junk food. I don't eat junk food very often. It's kind of like for me, it's like a limit break. It's like a special attack. Um, and if I'm feeling like super worn out, just exhausted, I'll go to the store and I'll just buy like a bunch of Doritos and Cheetos and some candy, and then for like I'll just lay flat on the couch and I'll just jam Doritos and Cheetos into my mouth. And I know it's terrible. I know it's terrible. I'm a grown man. You shouldn't do that. Um, but and I don't eat that stuff very often. I have a healthy diet, and sometimes it's like it's Cheeto time, you know. And I have a bunch of energy. That's bad advice. Please don't take that advice. That's terrible. Yeah. Uh, but other than that, um, I I don't know. Everyone's different. You know, everyone has a different system. Everyone's mind works differently. Um, and I think it's important when you are burned out, you've really got to step away from the thing that you're working on. Um, for me personally, um, going and playing a video game doesn't help me. It kind of makes, well, it helps a little bit because okay, let's say that I'm burned out on my projects, and then if I go, um, and then I work, I'll take a break from my work and I'll play a video game. My brain won't let me enjoy that game. My brain just feels this sense of guilt, where it says you shouldn't be playing a video game right now. You should be working on your own game, and that's not a healthy way to deal with that situation. But in a way, it's sort of like that's not a good way to deal with it either. You know, I'm not an expert on this stuff, and because everyone's so different, we all deal with things differently. That's how I feel in the army a lot. Yeah. Let's see. Actually, okay, I have one trick. I have one trick for music when I'm burned out. This is a special trick. I don't know if it'll work for you. I'll go and download sound fonts from stuff that I think is really cool, like, you know, a game that you really like, you know, like, from the Super Nintendo or something, and then I'll just play around with sound fonts from another game with a little bit, and it not even necessarily to compose something. You just sort of like, yeah, now I'm making you know, Mario Kart music, and you just jam on the keyboard, and then you step away from that and you have a laugh. That's a trick as well to help with burnout. It's just something fun, you know, when it comes to music anyway. Yeah, I said limit break. I'm like my snack limit break. You know how like, you know, like Tifa has for Tifa's limit break, you gotta like time the reels correctly. For me, it's like you've got to pour in Doritos and Cheetos, and that's how you activate my limit break. Yeah, nice. Yeah, learning different ways to create stuff. Yeah. So oh, Luna Knights. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Um, yeah, what I like to do is oh, let's see. Games is my getaway. Absolutely, it's very important. You know, it is really it's a healthy way for people to step away if they have a lot of things they deal with in their life. Um, Games are an extremely important way for people to decompress, uh, and to just rest. Rest is such an important part of life balance, and that's something that I keep in mind as well. I'm always aware of that. That you know, kind of there are people that don't understand video games, and they think, oh, you're playing a video game to waste time, and you know, those people don't really understand how important it is to have something to help you decompress and just find a little bit of balance during your day. Okay, I want an area where enemies can sort of. I'm sort of looking here. I'm sort of. let's see. Okay, hold on. We just came from this combat spot. We want to pick another combat spot. I'm sort of thinking. Oh, you know, it'd be a cool combat spot if we. Let's bring this down here. Let's bring the combat spot over. Right? Okay, hold on. Sorry for zooming around so much. We started here. Instead of going on the main path, let's go off the side. If we go off the side, we can have enemies approach from 2 different elevations. Nice. Nice. Steven. Yeah, absolutely. That's how I like to enjoy games. If you have like, especially if you're juggling school and work, that's huge, you know. But even, you know, like jobs are stressful, school is stressful. Um, and my favorite thing about games is that's why I like RPGs so much is, man, it's so valuable if you can just step away from all of your stuff for a couple hours, if you could just step away from that and just enjoy a story that's meant to be enjoyed, you know. Um, and that's really what I want to do with Silver Falls. And I'll share with you some personal injury. Is I love uh, the Resident Evil games, and I just felt I felt hurt year after year when my favorite characters were being ignored. You know, I'm a massive Rebecca fan, massive Claire fan. Allison Cord is my Claire, so I was pretty bummed out when they didn't bring Allison Cord back for Revelations 2. I played all of Revelations 2, and there wasn't a single minute where I was not complaining. I was playing with one of my best friends over a headset, and I'm sure maybe he muted me at times because the entire time I was saying, "This isn't Allison Cord." Oh, so for me personally, it really bums me out when a series abandons its characters. So what my intention with Silver Falls is, it's the anti that. Um, that's why I've created the code linker system, so that if you have a character that you really like, you play through a game, and when you play a game, you really form an attachment to those characters. You know, they're so cool, their attitude is cool, maybe they wore something that's really cool. You just like that character. And that's what's so fun about fictional characters is maybe you don't need a ton of reasons, you don't need, you know, good reasons, but you like these characters because they're cool. And it's a real bummer when a series carries on for 12, 15 years and you don't see your favorite character. So with Silver Falls, you use the code linker systems, and this is my promise to you guys. It doesn't matter if I make 20, 50 games in the future. Every single future game will connect to these old games so that if you have a favorite character, you'll be able to take your favorite character, put them in the next game, and you'll still be able to play as them. That's why I always try to make these bonus modes in Silver Falls games, because it makes no sense trying to jam all of the characters into the story mode. It's never going to work. It's not going to make sense. So if I make a bonus mode, then I can allow people to take characters from previous games, and then maybe you'll see that character, maybe they're 20 years older, maybe they're, you know, 40 years older, maybe they're only 2 years older, but that's where I'm coming from with this, and that I want to make sure that people can keep enjoying the stories that they like and the characters that they like while not getting stuck. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan, but a huge problem I have with Resident Evil creatively is that they're stuck in Raccoon City. It's like they don't know what to do outside of it, because every 4 Resident Evil games that come out, it's like they're saying, "Oh, but did you know that there were like 4 other people that were in Raccoon City before it blew up?" And then the next game is, "Oh, but did you know that there was a team of mercenaries that was also in Raccoon City?" And it's like, it's been 20 years. You know, you've got to be able to do something else. You're wearing out the audience. We love this thing, but please don't keep bringing us back to Raccoon City to do the exact same thing again and again, just slightly differently, you know? And I always keep that in mind when I'm creating the concepts for my games, is if I'm not careful with what I'm doing, I'm going to burn out my supporters and my audience. So that's one of my priorities, is to make sure I don't burn people out on this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I'm the biggest fan of Resident Evil. And the thing is, if they make something, I'm still going to buy it, even though it's that whole going back to Raccoon City again. It's like I I like your product very much. I'm going to buy it, but please try to do something different next time, you know? You usually record words people say in daily life and try to guess what it translates in English. Oh, that's pretty interesting. That's cool. What languages? Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying the book. Um, it's really fun to write. I've got about 3 chapters left. And the thing is, I would love to have voice acting, but I develop these games so quickly and organically. If I had to rely on voice acting, it would actually prevent me from developing these games because obviously you have to wait for the voice actors, and then you have to have absolutely everything scripted, everything recorded. It's really restrictive when it comes to a creative process. I'm looking at these. I'm looking at this. This is the jaggiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Have you guys ever seen anything this jagged? Good gravy. I'm glad I saw that. That is oof. We have yeah, good thing we fixed that. That was gnarly. Okay. Spiral light. 4:30. Ooh. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. I'll try to stream earlier if that makes it easier for people. Yeah. Can I work in the chicken restaurant in any of the games? Um, You know what? Maybe I'll make a chunky chicken restaurant simulator, and then yeah, you can you can work in the chunky chicken restaurant. Oh, being a teacher is wow. Yeah, I commend you. It's a tough job. It's demanding. Um, I've I've taught I, I have credentials to teach. I don't know what the equivalent is in the States, but I teach Cert 4 software development here in Australia. I've taught computers and photography. Uh, right now on my off time, I teach an archery course, and that's people of all ages. So we've got people that are 10, 12, and then people that are in their 70s as well. So I teach archery. Hang in there. You know, spring break is for the teachers too. That's for you to catch your breath. I I will never miss the opportunity to make a Chris boulder punching joke. I loved it when I saw it in the game. I loved it when people made fun of it on YouTube, and I love it to this day. Chris punching a boulder is a wonderful moment, uh, and I think that we all sometimes should stop and just appreciate what a special moment that was for all of us. Oh, well, I appreciate that. Suggestions for donation. Um, I it's a tough thing, you know. That's I don't want to have to ask people to donate because I don't want to ask for too much. You know, I want to just make these games, then people can buy the game. Because if you've got a couple bucks, I'd rather you go and pick up another game. You know, for me personally, you know, I'm not saying I'm ungrateful or that oh I don't need donations. That's not where I'm coming from. If you've got a couple bucks, I'd rather you pick up a game and support a developer. Is where I'm coming from. I have a Patreon that's up. And I don't really mention it. There are a couple people that have donated, and it really helps. Uh, the past couple months, well, the past couple years have been really tough on everyone, and it's been tough keeping the lights on in the office. If you weren't around, maybe last year, we were in a really difficult spot where the series was pretty close to being canceled because I wasn't selling enough Silver Falls games, and when we were getting slammed by very negative reviews across our titles, which is it's pretty brutal. Um, and maybe I should, you know, work harder to get these games better. Uh, but some of it does come down to me waiting for Unity to release a version that fixes some critical problems. But I have to pay bills, and I'm relying on selling these games to pay bills. So there are times where I can't wait for Unity because they don't tell me when they're going to fix things. I have to sell my games. That results in a game that has glitches, and then that results in negative reviews. So there was a time where we were just getting slammed by negative review after another, and it absolutely stopped me from selling any of the games. And that's when I started the Patreon, because it got to a point where I thought I'm just gonna have to move on to other games that are have wider appeal, that are easier to sell, and it sucks to have to process that, but you have to be able to pay bills at the end of the day is what it comes down to. You teach 17 and 18-year-olds history. I commend you. When I was 17 and 18, I didn't want to hear anything about history. I was very much into, I was personally more into the creative stuff, art, um, English, uh, and whatnot. So, um, but I wish I had better history teachers in high school, because I love history these days, and it's probably partly because I'm I'm not. Uh, as a teenager, I wanted to go home and play Final Fantasy. So that maybe, I wasn't interested in history because of that. Maybe when legacy characters are brought back in future titles, they could have special dialogue unique to their experiences. Brian Singer, actually, yes, that is that's in the series now. So the clearest example right now is Bull Brandish, who's from Undertakers. He can be brought into 3 Down Stars. Um, and there are characters that will appear in White Inside Its Umbra as well. And then the upcoming games, the 7 that are coming out, all the characters have lines of dialogue that seem like, sure, okay, that's something someone would say. But if you've played the previous games and you understand those characters, it's something really special for the player, because you already have a relationship with that character. You understand their history. So when they say a particular something that might mean nothing to someone, you get it. It's like an inside thing. And I think that's really rewarding. And that's why I really want to connect the games this way. And if you hadn't seen the details on that, on our book, Heavy Shadow, the paperback, when I start selling the paperback for that, it will have a code linker system, so you will be able to connect our paperback novel with all of the games. So our current games will support it, and our upcoming games will also support connecting to our novel, Heavy Shadow. You'll be able to get content or playable characters from the novel. Amiibo, I would love having like Amiibo style storage and data storage and whatnot. We'll see how we go. If we can make a big impact with this series, if we can sell enough, maybe Nintendo will give us the opportunity to make Amiibos. That would be the coolest thing in the world. I have a Retroid Pocket too. I really love this thing. I saw the Retroid Pocket Plus. It's got a touchscreen, and I'd really love to have a touchscreen on that. But I really like my Retroid Pocket. Do you ever hook yours up to the TV? Mine came with the HDMI cable, but I've never hooked it up to the. Well, actually, I tested it once on my big TV monitor, and it looks so nice. But it's kind of like I'd have to sit close to my TV to get, because the cable's not that long. Yeah, Brian Singer, it'd be really cool. The unique dialogue tied to what that actual character is seen by your save file. That would be really cool. Um, we'll see if Nintendo lets us, do Amiibo in the future. That would be really rad. As a teacher, I want to go home and play Final Fantasy. Yeah, you know, um, I feel you, man. I really, that's, you know how I feel. You know how I feel. Yeah, uh, Closhin. Yeah, about the like Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel and whatnot. And for me, the most sort of eye-opening experience for Game Boy was Link's Awakening. And before I'd played Link's Awakening, every other game was sort of um, like Super Mario Land, where it's like, oh, this is like a cute, portable, small version of a Mario game. I dig it, And then you had Tetris, so they were sort of like small things. And then Link's Awakening to me was all of a sudden there was a full Zelda game, and it made me realize, whoa, the Game Boy can have a full game on it. So, I mean, you can probably pick up sort of how Galaxy Bound Curse is inspired by the spirit of Link's Awakening, but I wanted, you know, an an open world that didn't sort of force you to go any particular place. You can explore the world at your own pace. Um, and I wanted it an opportunity because in Three Down Stars, I was still developing as a developer. I wasn't very experienced, and it was very difficult for me to to create the character models and the environments. It was very difficult for me. And Galaxy Bound Curse for me, um, I really wanted to make that game because I thought pixel graphics are much easier to make, which means I can make more of the town, I can have more of the characters, and I can have interaction between the characters. I can let the player explore. So it's really about letting people just explore the town and to really get a feel of what this place is about, what the people are about. Um, and it's there are events that occur in Galaxy Bound Curse where you get hints of people's lives, and I think it's an interesting way to tell a story because you see these cute graphics and you think, oh yeah, this is adorable and cute, but the lives that these characters live, like you can tell there's things wrong with it, and there's an innocent sense of voyeurism because you're sort of dropped into this world and you're thinking, yeah, this is cute. I'm walking into people's houses. This is fun. I'm gonna break open their vases. Um, and you talk to them in one line, you see like their life is just a complete mess. And I think that's just a fascinating way to tell a story. Oh, great! Yeah, thanks for being interested in the book. I'll announce it as soon as it's finished. Like I said, there's 3 chapters left, and then I'm going to give a few more passes over the whole thing to make sure that the editing is good. Did Closhin, did your Retroid Pocket come with the HDMI cable? Mine did. Actually, it's sitting here. It's just out of reach, but I have the cable there. Steven, hey, it was great hanging out and chatting. So yeah, take care. I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out at the stream, and then take care. We'll see you next time. Yeah, yeah. Yours didn't come with the cable? Oh, what a bummer. No, I just kind of assumed they packaged it in because it's not a common one. It's that funny small one. So those are pretty hard to track down. You don't really see those very often in stores. Okay, so this guy's out of. You know what? I'll, I'm going to subvert expectations, and I'm going to have this one drop right in the middle. We'll just drop down out of the sky like that, right in front of you. All right, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. You got enemies that look. This is fine. Oh, I'll see. These are too similar now. So what I will do is I'll just move. We'll move this one a little. There. Move this guy a bit. It's micro HDMI. The smallest one. Yeah. Actually, I think I have a converter. Yeah. Yeah. This thing. I don't know if that'll focus on that. It's that one. It's the very small one. So I've got a little adapter here. Mine came with a cable that has that. It's so cool putting that stuff on the TV. Oop, sorry, got my. I think one of the like I like to juxtapose different elements, especially in Galaxy Bound Curse. You have the opportunity because the graphics and the way the game is presented. You know, the music's adorable. One of my favorite aspects to that is when in order to get money, you have to trade moose tokens to Brand Steelhide, and he's parked out, in an empty lot. He's parked there with his truck, and he's a broken shell of a man because he's on his he's on his third or fourth divorce, and he's absolutely despondent. He's a broken man. He's just accepted that his marriage isn't going to work again, and then here comes the player with a bag of moose tokens, and they're like, jingle jangle jingle jangle. Hey, I know you're crying your eyes out because of your divorce, but you want to buy some of these moose tokens off me? So I just thought, in my head, I thought that was, you think about it enough and you're like, man, that's really, the player's kind of messed up here. You could give this guy some space, but instead you're sort of like, hey, buy my moose tokens, give me some money. There's a Zelda-style 007 game on the original Game Boy. My first time seeing an open world on such a tiny cartridge. I'll check that out. I haven't heard of that. Yeah, that's cool. I hope your games do so well that you have a chance to do a collector's definitive edition. I would really, really like to do that. People are often asking about physical versions of the games, and it it costs a lot of money to do that, to start up. You have to order a certain number of prints, like a minimum print amount. So once the games are selling enough, I would really like to be able to offer physical stuff. And for the 3DS stuff, I'd like to package them all together. Well, not all of them, but a bunch of them together to justify the price tag of a physical cartridge. Because me personally, I'm a cartridge. I'm a physical media sort of collector. I really like having the box. I like having the cartridges, and I don't mind having the physical games because I like Smash Brothers. If I had a spare $80 or whatever it is in Australia, I'd buy the digital versions of Smash. That's what I play on the Switch most because I can take a break for 10 minutes and play Smash and then get back to work. But if a friend wants to play a different game, we'll have to keep swapping out cartridges and whatnot. So if it's a game like Smash, of course I want to have the physical copy. But if I had a spare $80, I would buy the digital one as well, just so I wouldn't have to keep swapping cartridges. Yeah. Oh, has that has anyone in the chat tasted a Switch cartridge? Like, I'm not saying eat a cartridge. I'm not saying that. I'm just asking if anyone has tasted a cartridge, and if so, which cartridge have you tasted? Which game tastes best? Sound off in the chat which Switch game tastes best, or what's your favorite tasting Switch game? I have my GameCube games like Resident Evil 0 and 1 Remake. Ooh, Resident Evil 0. I'm a massive Zero fan. I love that inventory system. Um, that's Zero's one of my favorites because I love the dynamic between Rebecca and Billy, and I love that sweet, sweet inventory system, man. Um, there's so much tension involved with remembering where you put important items. And then you have this sense of desperation because you're thinking, where am I going to put this thing where I really hope I remember this? And in a sense, that's kind of how I feel about things in real life, which is why I can relate to Zero so much. Yeah, it's, there's certain games where if you really like it, it might be worth it just to buy it, digital and physical, yeah. Oh, you have the Labo kit? How fun is the Labo kit? Because I've not. They were really limited stock here in Australia, so I don't think I've ever even seen them selling in the shops in Australia for the Labo kits. They all taste the same. That's a shame. Cooking Mama Cookstar tastes great because it matches the flavor profile of the game itself. Garbage. Yum, 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 yum. Nice one, Clotion. I tasted it when the craze was going on. I think I tried Breath of the Wild as extra spice. Zelda 2, yummy. Um, I um, which one did I taste? It's uh, did I taste maybe Let's Go Pikachu was probably my first um and my most delicious Switch game. I wouldn't mind maybe like a sweet au jus sauce. I think would have really helped the palate, but Let's Go Pikachu pairs nicely with um, like a anything like pre 2014. A nice Chardonnay, goes really nicely with Let's Go Pikachu. But you really want to make sure you aerate the cartridge. You want to let it breathe before you give it a taste, or you're not enjoying the full palate of that cartridge. Yeah. Well, I've not tasted Let's Go Eevee yet. Okay, I'm just going to pause the stream. I'm just going to grab a coffee very quickly. How do you pause this? How do you pause a stream? Can I pause this? Uh, I'll be right back. I'm just going to make a coffee. You you tasted 1 to 2 oh, 1 2 switch. Let's go. All right. Be right back. Coffee refill. My dog. This is the dog. This is the dog. Logan, say hello. Logan, can you see everyone? Can you see everyone through the camera, Logan? Logan, say hello. Everyone see my dog? Okay. Come on, Logan, let's go.
Thanks for waiting. Refilled my coffee. There we go. Let's see. The Labo kits were pretty okay. I had the first and basic VR ones, but I probably spent more time building than actually playing. I obviously watched a couple of videos of people building stuff, but I kind of wanted to. That's the kind of thing where I don't really want to sit and watch a video about it. I'd rather see it in person or build it myself. So I heard that it takes longer than people wanted to build the stuff. You spent most time on Garage, and you know what? A friend brought over Breath of the Wild VR, so I saw that for a couple minutes, and that was really impressive. Yeah, watch something funny. If you see scary games and YouTube videos and whatnot, or just watch something funny before you go to bed, and you should be all right. Oh, he's not really camera shy, but yeah, he wanted to do stuff. Dogs like to run around anyway. Yeah, just a short bonfire to catch my breath, and I spend the vast majority of my day sitting in front of the computer, so it's just nice to sit outside for a little bit and watch the fire, get some fresh air, Coffee's a bit hot. Okay, so I'm sort of looking at it. So these two are clumped. I kind of like where that guy is, and I'm going to move this guy farther back. How about that? So he sort of comes up from the trench. So this guy. And we'll make sure the elevation makes sense. And I'll show you something here. So this is a clone of the story mode map, but I can make some changes here and it won't affect it. So say, for example, you've got capsule colliders. I know enemies can get stuck on that. So what I'll do is I'll disable those. And I don't have any pathfinding logic in this mode because I want this mode to run as efficiently and fast as possible, because the important part with this mode is to have a good frame rate, because obviously the players are aiming with their Wiimotes, and there's a potential for a lot of fog effects and for a bunch of enemies to appear on screen. If everyone throws dynamite, there's going to be slowdown. When characters perform special attacks, they run on screen. They have a pretty high poly count. So I want to alleviate the most amount of stress as I can. So I don't have any pathfinding on the enemies. They just, walk a straight line to try and keep the frame rate as good as possible. I love me some Fatal Frame. That's a cool series. I played the first ones on PS2. I loved that. You're taking photos of the ghosts and then you're running out of film. Even though they're to control, they're clunky and awkward, I like that about them. Maybe the run speed could be a bit faster. That was the other cool game on the Wii U I was forgetting. Which one were you forgetting? A couple years ago, a friend of a friend was getting rid of an NES. They were gonna chuck it out. So luckily they asked if I wanted it first, and it had barely been used. It was pretty much brand new. I didn't clean the cartridges. Well, I wiped down the cartridge a little bit, but I didn't have to blow on it, and it was bizarre because I plugged it straight into the NES. It felt brand new. I just barely, pushed the cartridge down, and I turned it on, and it worked straight away. Every game that I've put into that NES has worked straight away, which to me tells me that it's been sitting in a box since the 80s. They said they barely ever used it. They were going to throw it out. So I have a great NES. Crimson Butterfly and Lunar Mask on the Wii. You see, they had Crimson Butterfly Remake and Lunar Mask on Wii. Ah, I would love to be able to make a Wii game, but I don't know what it takes. But I'll sometimes just my Wii disc reader broke. It's dead. But that's why the Wii U is so great. So maybe I should see why my dog is barking. But I'll sometimes I'll put a Wii game on using the Wii U, of course, and it's just like there are so many interesting, cool games. You know, it's such a creative console. Right, we're doing our next combat spot, so I'm sort of looking at the terrain. What would be a cool terrain? I'm looking at it. All right, this looks good. Here we go. It doesn't sound like anyone's breaking into the house, so my dog barking is probably okay. Alrighty here. That's probably good. A nice open area. You gotta have some open areas too. You're super looking forward to, super excited for Ghoul Busters. That game has, I started working on that game the same time, almost like a couple months after 3 Down Stars. So I actually started 3 Down Stars, Undertakers, and then Ghoul Busters a couple months after I started that, because I always knew that I wanted those games to connect. And but the more I worked on 3 Down Stars, the more I learned about the challenges of the development software on the 3DS. And at that point, as a developer, I didn't have the experience and skills to be able to handle creating another 3DS game, because it was so difficult and it took me so much time to make 3 Down Stars. I couldn't have made Ghoul Busters if I tried to back then. So I made it a fair way through development, and I realized it's probably best to put it on Switch. But over the past couple of years, I've tried really hard to keep improving as a developer. So now I can comfortably make Ghoul Busters now on the 3DS. And when I did cancel it, people were pretty disappointed. I would be disappointed as well if games like that are canceled. So it's really thanks to all the people that that let me know over the past 2 years that they were still interested in Ghoul Busters. Otherwise, I may have left that. But they said, man, I was really looking forward to that. And so, yeah, sure, I'll put Ghoul Busters. And it's, I had a lot of fun making it, because when enemies, when you beat enemies there, I programmed like a bunch of different kinds of guts and giblets. And then I made it so that they really fly towards the screen. So obviously some guts will go into the background, but every time you beat an enemy, flies into the screen. And for me, that's like super satisfying to, you know, whack an enemy over the head with a hockey stick, and then the guts fly out towards the screen. I thought that it's just, you know, some things are just visually satisfying in a game, you know. All right. Have you ever played Bonk's Adventures? Yes. Bonk's Adventures is so rad. I love eating candy and changing forms. I am 100% about changing forms. If there's a game where you can eat something and change forms, you know I'm going to be there. So clearly I'm a big Kirby fan. I can't stop eating. I can't stop changing forms. You know, I love that stuff. So let me gobble up them candies and turn into a dinosaur, I guess. Bonks is so cool. I never had the chance to play a Bonks game when I was a kid, but I got into them as an adult, because you have the opportunity to try more games at that point. I love that, just that fun energy from the Bonks games. Jacob, my Wii U disk drive broke, so I recently bought another one for a good deal. The disk drive? Do brain age action, so its main use is to watch YouTube. One time I had someone come over. I had YouTube playing. I used to, yeah, I forgot about it, but I used to use the Wii U before I got Chromecast. I would use the Wii U almost every day to play YouTube on the TV. And it's just a convenient way to control everything. And then I got Chromecast, and then I started controlling YouTube through my phone. But that's, man, I really, really liked the YouTube Wii U functionality. It's so great. Do you also port your games to PC? At the moment, no. No. I want to make sure that I'm making the best game I possibly can for these Nintendo consoles that they're on. And I'm also in the middle of building a professional relationship with Nintendo. So for the time being, I'll keep these games exclusive to Nintendo. And I can't speak for them. I don't know if it's paying off or not, but our games have been exclusive to them. And the amount of work, the people in the office in Nintendo, they did an immense amount of work. I can't stress, like, getting these 7 games submitted, it should have taken weeks. And there should not have been enough time to get these 7 games submitted. My submissions should not have been accepted. There were a lot of things that needed to be processed and done. And the people in the office, they put in a huge amount of work to get these games processed quickly. And I don't know if that has anything to do with, I've explained to them I'd really want these games to be on Nintendo consoles. I don't know if that's helped or not. But, we'll see how we go. If I put these games on PC, I would have to optimize them to take more advantage of PC hardware and to make sure the games are pushing the limits of what hardware can do, and to push the creativity on that. And that would mean that the base versions on the 3DS and the Wii U and the Switch, that means those versions would suffer if I'm spread trying to do PC ports. I'm only one developer, and so I understand that there are real limitations, and if I try to stretch myself too thin with multiple platforms, then the games will suffer as a result of that. You've been getting back into some old Cube, Wii, and Wii U titles that you've never played before. That's, what's so great is when you're just in a shop somewhere randomly and there's a bin that's got a bunch of like GameCube and Wii games that you've never heard of, but they look cool. And you pick them up for like $2 or $3 and you bring them home and you realize they're a lot of fun. That's that's so cool. I really enjoy that. I love Fatal Frame games. They're so interesting and creative, and they've got a cool vibe to them. So if you haven't tried them, I'd recommend checking out some Fatal Frame games. Is your soundtrack uploadable? I'm trying to upload them bits and pieces here and there, but I would like to offer just the album for people to pick up. I guess Spotify, I suppose, would be a way, or Apple Music. I'd like to have the games for free for people to listen to on YouTube. Excuse me, but it takes time to format those things and to upload it in an organized manner. And just at the moment, I've been focusing on developing the game, so I haven't even gotten around to that. But when I've got time, I do want to upload the full soundtracks for free. People can just listen to it, and then I'll have an organized playlist. I'll have cool thumbnails and a cool, just a visual that's in the background. But also, if people want to have it on Spotify, I've never done that, but I'll figure out how to do it. I'll figure out how to put it on Apple Music. Again, I haven't done it before, but I'll figure it out because people have been asking about it. 4 years ago, your disk drive on your first Wii U stopped working reliably and it completely stopped in 2020. The weird thing is that the original Wii games still work. Whoa, that's weird. Okay, I'm really worried. My Wii U has gotten a bit slower over the past 2 years in terms of loading games. So I'm worried that maybe the disk drive might burn out, and I don't know what it takes to replace it. So I suspect that at some point in the future I'll have to look at replacing it, because that's one console I would really like to have working. I'm a massive Wii U fan. Obviously, I'm a massive Wii U fan. Okay, I'm sort of looking at this, right? I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking all right. I'm looking at it. Man, okay. So I'm trying to decide whether I want to include this rock as part of the combat stage angle, or whether I want to have more of this area off to the side. I'm thinking I'll keep it where it is. I won't include that rock as part of the camera angle. You know what games are pretty rad as well? If you guys, has anyone played the Siren games? I'm a pretty big fan of those. They're a little bit obtuse. Like if you don't have a guide, certain ones of the games are really frustrating to play, but they're so interesting and creative in what they do. All right, can it? Okay, so you've got like a sort of a gully there. Is that in the camera? Yes. I just need to make sure that if an enemy tries to snipe you from there, you'll be able to get them. So I want to make sure, see this spot here? I want to make sure that the enemies, when they spawn, they drop down in that spot so that you can snipe them. Okay, let me just check where they are. And sure, yeah, later. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm hoping like I don't know if I'm maybe I shouldn't do like a compressed air, but I'm sort of thinking like a disc cleaner. You know how Nintendo has those disc cleaners. I'm thinking maybe I'll try one of those because I do have the Wii disc cleaner, but I don't know if I'm allowed to put that in a Wii U. I don't know if that's going to mess something up. But I do have the disc cleaner. So maybe I should try that. Or the disk drive cleaner, the lens cleaner. Okay. Have you used a Golden Sun 3DS? Have you used a DVD disc cleaner? Has that, on the Wii U, has that helped? What's the best weapon in your game? In which one? In 3 Down Stars, there's a couple of... is it in here? I don't think it's in here. In 3 Down Stars, there is a best weapon. So the best weapon in 3 Down Stars is a replica of an anime. So in Silver Falls, there's an anime called Magical Girl Pretty Pilot Magical Girl. And then there's a magic wand that the anime character uses, and then in 3 Down Stars you can get that magic wand, and it's quite weak. The character does like a fun little pose with the wand, and it's very weak on its own. But the reason why the weapon is so strong is the frame data is extremely fast, and you receive boosts from every single element. So all the characters can have access to different skills. You can have skills that boost your fire element, your ice, your electric, and then also explosive, trap, and also water is a hidden element. And the magic wand receives boosts from every single element. So if you stack your character with skills, if you have a very specific build where you're constantly, all your skills are just related to the elemental boosts. I've had people that message and said like, dude, I've just done like multiple thousands of damage with the magic wand because they've got like, you know, fire 1 and 2 and ice 1 and 2. And there's a special item that you can get from one of the prologues at the end of 3 Down Stars. There's a character who will give you an item there's like a 30%, no, a 1 out of 30 chance when you go to this area post game, a character will give you a crystal that has a skill attached to it. The skill is called Earth Whisper, and then if you have that, it boosts water element by like 500% or something ridiculous. So all of those elemental things stack. So this wand is designed to be ridiculously overpowered. So if you build the right loadout, people are saying, man, I'm just like walking through the frontier hunters, and I'm slapping everything with my magic wand, and everything's just getting one-shotted because of the skills that they set up. So that is the strongest weapon in 3 down stars, yeah. You have to replace the drive and the chip paired to the console. A single drive costs less than a new console. Yikes. Man, that's a lot of work. Maybe I'll just send it in to someone to repair it. I don't want to mess up the console myself. Not on a console, but a long time ago on a DVD player. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to mess it up. I've never opened a Wii or Wii U. I think I'll just I'll find someone who specializes in it. I don't want to mess up my console. I have opened up and repaired multiple DSs, so, but that's different. You know, that's not like a disc drive console. All right, I'm looking at this, and where do I want? All right, I'm sort of thinking here. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, sure. And then we'll spin this right round, maybe right round. There we go. Spin that around. And I don't want to get that stump in the way. This looks good, and I think elevation needs to be right about there. This needs to be gone, so we'll get rid of that. You bought a new console for homebrew? Or actually, no. Oh yeah, nice. Oh man, I wouldn't open an iPhone, me personally. Yikes, I wouldn't trust myself. I've fixed Android phones, you know, the ones that easier to if they're not glued together. Oh, I would never open an iPhone. All right. You know what's so awesome and ahead of its time is the you know how you can use your Wii gamepad as a TV remote? That's pretty awesome, right? Shoot, I need to grab Maverick and then check the height on this here. Where's our boy? There he is. Hey, I guessed all right. Camera's in a decent spot. That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Oh, if you haven't done so yet, you can connect Galaxy Bound Curse, the Game Boy game. If you connect that with 3 down stars, in Frontier Fighters mode, you get a duck. And I've had people message me where they'll say like, "Oh man, I'm just walking through levels and I'm letting the duck kill everything." So if you do connect Galaxy Bound Curse with 3 down stars, once in a while in Frontier Hunters, there'll be a duck sitting in the log, and you can recruit him for one mission. There's like a 25% chance the duck will be there. So if you take him with you, he'll just be like a wrecking machine, and any enemy that gets close to him, he'll just tear him apart. So if you're into ducks, please connect Galaxy Bound Curse to 3 down stars, and you can have your own duck. I miss Miiverse. Miiverse was really awesome. Yeah, that TV remote feature was really awesome. The Wii U did so many awesome things, you know. Your brother found a Wii U in the trash. Wow. Did it work? That's the dream. Is finding something cool just sitting around. That's so cool. I hope that Wii U works. That would have been really great. All right, then for anyone just joining in that missed the explanation in the beginning, just creating the data that tells the game. This is for the second game mode that's like an arcade shooter. So I'm creating the data where the game knows where the camera should move from spot to spot, and then also which enemies to spawn. So say, for example, I've got 2 steps here on this one, so it'll create 2 wolves after the player defeats all the enemies. It'll go on to the next step, and then it'll specify where to spawn the next enemy. So that's what I'm doing right now, in case you are just joining and you haven't seen the explanation. Alrighty, we got all these spots here. So these are kind of off to the side. I'm just going to bring them in here. Bring them in to make them closer. So the camera's going to be there. Okay, just to make them easier for me to bring into the right spots here. It was missing the gamepad charging cable. That's so cool. Wow. I'm really happy and excited for you. I can't believe your brother found that in the trash. That's really cool. Most electronic repair is buying an iPod mini and replacing the battery and adding flash storage. Wow, nice one. Well done. I tried to replace the screen on my iPod Touch. It was probably like a Generation 2, but I broke the replacement screen as I was trying to close the unit, and then I stopped. I realized that I was ill-equipped to replace the screen on that iPod, so he is resting peacefully in my electronics drawer. All right, so I need things that come in from the right. I think this guy can come in. Put enemies that spawn. So I'm looking at the camera, and if an enemy tries to snipe you, you can see him through the branches here. So the branches won't stop your bullets. So if you need to shoot an enemy through the branches, you'll be able to. Okay. Oh, it's kind of far, isn't it? Oop, come back. Nice. I tend to not homebrew my consoles because I'm a developer, so it's sort of like it's a bit of a hot topic for me. Yeah, so I have to be really careful with that sort of stuff. So I generally I don't get to homebrew, but I like to see what people are doing with homebrew. I think that's really, really cool. This is what? Okay, yeah, it's just in a weird order. So, oh, okay, so then there's an enemy that can sort of ambush you right there, isn't there? All right, so I'm going to look overhead. I'll just look at the camera and see what's going on. Right, so we have enemies that come in from the right, middle, and center. So I'm thinking maybe it'll be all right to have. I'll move this one to the right just a little bit more, and then I'll drop one there. Okay. Your X button doesn't work, so you got a new 2DS XL. I really prefer to play games in 3D. Often I'll turn 3D on just to get rid of the anti-aliasing, because I don't really like the anti-aliasing in 3D games, in 3DS games. Yeah, I really like having the 3D. I usually have the 3D on if I'm playing 3DS. Luckily, I don't get motion sickness from that, so I crank that all the way up. I'm a maximum 3DS user. Ryuke, what are some of your favorite stuff on the Wii U? Um, Both, like retail games, but also what's like the coolest homebrew thing that you do on the Wii U? You had a 2DS, so you never got to experience 3D. It's the 2DS does not look like it should be comfortable, but I find it strangely comfortable in hand. I really like the 2DS. It defies all logic because it looks like it should be unwieldy. I think it's great. Okay, let's see here. And this is the last combat spot for this area, so let's bring it on around like that. Let me see. I don't want to get blocked off by that tree. Oh no, there's a straightaway here, so straightaways are not very interesting, are they? Okay, I might. Okay, well, we'll put it here. We'll put it here, just past that tree. I'm also. I want to see if I can increase the resolution on these branches here, because there's a ton of combat. This is the story mode area for White Inside its Umbra. There's a ton of content in this game. Not just the game itself, but the gamepad. It has a bunch of playable games on the gamepad as well. So you can boot it up, and while you're playing the story mode, you can actually just play games that are on your gamepad. So that's why I have to be very careful with my texture resolutions, is there's a bunch of playable games in there as well. So I'm still adding some last minute games, just some fun small stuff. And if the system can handle all that extra stuff, I'll increase the resolution on these trees here. All right, this will be the last spot for this area. Let's see here. A little cattywampus. All right, I'm looking at it. I'm thinking there's good. Yeah. And I think that's probably the right height. And I'm thinking that's probably good. Cool, we've got enemies that can come in from left and right. That's good, that's fine. You want to have multiple elevations so it's interesting for enemies to come in from different locations. If it's just a flat field, it's not that interesting. Okay, let's see. Golden Sun, I always used the 3D when I had my 3DS, but now after I bought a 3DS, again, I can't stand the 3DS resolution. It's much better. Hey, we're lucky to have emulation that can let you play games in HD. It's so cool seeing 3DS games in high resolution. It's just, it's awesome. Yeah, and I like, yeah, the 2DS it's just easy to hold. It's comfortable. The whole thing about it is it's really comfortable. I think it's really well designed, the 2DS. Ryuke, mostly homebrewed. Being able to play classic Wii games on the gamepad is very cool. And that's it's almost like having a Wii portable, because obviously people can still use the TV, and then you can play Wii games on the gamepad. You can use the Wiimote and everything, and then for the games that support it, you can use the gamepad controls. It's so cool. The Wii U is awesome. There's so many cool things that it can do. Brian, oh, you've got to run. All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out. It's been really cool talking games. So thanks for hanging out in the stream, and then take care, and then we can hang out again soon in another stream, hopefully. Thanks a lot. See ya. Best version of Breath of the Wild is the Wii U version emulated on PC. I'm heartbroken that they took out the the bottom screen functionality for Breath of the Wild. You know how they showed the demo or the gameplay, and then they showed the map on the bottom screen and the menu. We almost had something really nice. We almost had it. We were so close. That's a bummer. If only it was as simple as someone, you know, adding a mod to the Wii U version to put the screen back in. I don't know. I love that kind of thing anyway. I heard the Wii U is powerful and underpowered at the same time. Is that true? Let me see. Obviously, there's things I can't discuss because of a non-disclosure agreement, and I'm a registered developer. But what I can say is the Wii U is way stronger than I thought. It's a challenging console to develop for because it has obviously its own quirks, like every console and hardware has its own quirks. But I have found it to be obscenely powerful in areas that I was not expecting. And I really hope that I can do the console justice with my upcoming games. And you know, I'm a solo independent developer, so there's limitations on what I can achieve myself, and there's strengths to that. It means that I can create what I want and push the boundaries in terms of game development in what I want to do, and I'm not beholden to what stakeholders and investors want. But at the same time, I don't have funding for a large team. But with what I was able to achieve on my own, I really hope that I do this console justice and I show people how great things could have been if we were able to support the Wii U for more time. But I'll do my best, and we'll see how it turns out. Just want to make sure that if I put an enemy here, that he can't snipe you without you being able to fight back. Let me see here. The camera's there. Okay, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking the wind can push the branches into the camera. So I'm going to move the camera forward just a bit. There we go. So hopefully the wind won't. Yeah, that's clear now. That's fine. I think it's a little low. I'll raise it up. Up a little. There we go. So if enemies approach you, you'll be able to fight them. Cool, cool. You can stream your PC to your phone. I have seen that a bit. It's really cool. I would love to see our internet connections and mobile connections strong enough to support that over long distances. That'd be really cool. When you traveled a lot in the army, you would take your Wii U in the airport, plug in, and play with it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, if you've got a game that can play totally on the gamepad. How did you get into game development? It sounds fun to me, but I don't really know where I would even start. So I just started using, there's multiple levels to game development. I'm using Unity, which is sort of an industry standard. It's tougher to get into because you have to be able to program to some degree. But with Unity, there are also frameworks that you can get from the asset store. A lot of them are free, and they are frameworks that are already fully built sort of game systems, and you can just plug in your graphics, and they have a visual user interface that will let you create games without programming experience. And that's an excellent way to start because when you're programming, it really dominates your brain space, and it prohibits you from learning how to put a game together. So the two things that you really need to be able to do is program and understand how to put a game together. You can't learn those two things at the same time. If you try, it's going to be very frustrating and very difficult. Hey, how's it going? So, if you do want to get into game development, I recommend using an engine that doesn't require you to program. So when I first started out, I used RPG Maker. I think I started with RPG Maker 98. Requires no programming whatsoever. You can make a fun little game. In the early 2000s, I started using Game Maker, which doesn't require programming again, but it had a little bit of scripting, so you can do a couple advanced things, but it's very limited in what you can do. And then after Game Maker, um, with RPG and Game Maker, I was able to focus on learning how to put a game together. I understood the logic of, a character touches a light switch and the light turns on. A character opens a chest and then they get an item and then they can't open the chest again. If they check the chest, it says it's empty. Um, that's what I mean when I say how to put a game together. If you have to learn that and programming at the same time, you're making it very difficult for yourself. So it's important when you're learning how to put a game together to use an engine that doesn't require programming. So there's a lot of free options out there to try, because I don't recommend spending money on an engine if you're not sure you're going to be comfortable with it. So I can recommend trying Unity and then go on the asset store for Unity, because there are a lot of free frameworks, again, that let you put a game together without programming. So that's where I would recommend starting. And that way you can just have a lot of fun. You can use pre-made graphics and you can just build your own levels. You can put your characters in there. And that way you can start learning the process of putting a game together. Once you have a strong understanding of how to put a game together, what makes everything work, and that's something that you'll just learn over time. Everyone learns at their own pace. Once you understand all of that and you start thinking about what you want to make custom, you think, oh, I want to make a custom system where a character is able to do this, the player is able to do that, then you can start learning how to do the programming a little bit at a time. You don't learn everything overnight, you just learn bits and pieces. I've been developing and programming games since 2003. And I'm still learning new things every day. I'm still improving as a developer. So you shouldn't feel pressured that you have to learn everything in a certain amount of time before you're allowed to launch a game. You go at your own pace, and the most important thing is that you enjoy doing it, If you're not having fun making games, then there's no point. But even if you're making small, everyone has to start out small. You can start out making small games at first using pre-made graphics, using pre-made systems, and you can just learn how to put a game together. And it's a lot of fun. So that's where I would recommend if you want to get into it. Remote gaming is actually very playable on 4G and bandwidth as low as 5 megabits per second, but you need unlimited data plan. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because it would use a fair bit of data for streaming video, wouldn't it? Great. I'm glad I could be helpful. You can always feel free to comment or DM or ask a question and whatnot. And then, I'm not saying you have to use Unity. You can try Unreal as well. I've not personally used Unreal, but generally, from my understanding, Unreal is more visual. So if you're a visual learner, it might be easier to use something like Unreal. And then there are other game engines out there as well. There's Godot, Godot. Is that how that's spelled? Yeah. There's others as well. So the skills that you learn in terms of putting a game together, it will translate into other game engines. So when you're starting out, it doesn't matter which one you're using really. It's more about you learning the process of putting a game together. But once you understand that, you can really use any game engine to put your game together and to make something that's playable. You got RPG Maker, Humble Bundle, Ukraine Bundle. Yeah, I heard that RPG Maker is moving on to Unity, so that's fantastic. That's great. Yeah. If you do like that, or whatever you think of that, comment on an upcoming video. Let me know what you think of that, because I haven't used RPG Maker on Unity. I code all of my frameworks from scratch. But for someone that needs a really comprehensive RPG engine, that's an excellent solution. RPG Maker would be great. Yeah. Jacob, yeah, thanks for hanging out on this stream. It's good to have a chat. Uh, so take care. We'll see you next time. And thanks for hanging out and talking games. Rashad Z, what are some challenges you had to face when you were developing for an older console like the Wii U? I heard a lot from devs that their projects usually struggle on the CPU side. So I actually had an advantage going into the Wii U, and that is I had done 2 3DS games. So my mindset was already overly optimized. I had to do a ton of optimizing in order to make my 3DS games work, and even then, they're still not as good as they could have been. But again, I'm fixing it with updates because I'm still always improving as a developer. But one issue I faced with the Wii U wasn't necessarily from the Wii U side, but from the development software. And I'll have to be careful of what I talk about because of non-disclosure agreements. But there were a number of weird glitches with the software itself that just needed a really weird solution. Things that didn't work the way they were supposed to. Sorry, I'm being really vague because I have to be. Let me try and think of a better answer here. The memory limitation. So here's a thing that's specific to the Wii U. This is a better answer. That the Wii U is actually very good at rendering high resolution details. It's really good at that. So for me, I was shocked, and I felt it was a little bit like gold fever, because I started putting my assets into the Wii U, and I can see, whoa, it's running these resolutions. Whoa, this looks really cool. And then all of a sudden, I crashed with an out-of-memory issue. And so the difficulty for me was the Wii U is able to render high-resolution stuff really well, but it doesn't have a lot of memory for that. You know, you have gigs and gigs of memory on the Switch, so you can have a bunch of high-resolution stuff. And on the Wii U, you think that you can have a bunch of high-resolution stuff because it's quite good at rendering high-resolution stuff, but you're limited by the amount of memory that's available to you. So for me, it was a matter of discipline and understanding, okay, I could render high-resolution stuff, but I just need to be careful that I don't try to load too much into memory, because then your game will crash. So that's a challenge that I faced with the Wii U. You're still waiting for Ghost Recon that Ubisoft promised. The Wii U is weirdly powerful. It is weird. And obviously you have to work with the constraints of the hardware. And I think, you know, I can't speak for other developers, and it'd be really arrogant for me to say what developers should or shouldn't have done. A lot of the games that we got for Wii U were ports from other consoles, and any game that is a port will suffer. That's just what it comes down to. If you're creating a game for multiple platforms, you're spreading yourself very thin, your game will suffer. And so I feel that, well, I believe, you know, that because these games were ports, they weren't really able to hone in on the quirks and requirements of the Wii U. And I think that's why maybe we didn't get the best versions of those games. If we got games that were made only for the Wii U and the developers didn't have to worry about how they ran on other consoles, I think the Wii U library would have been more impressive. Oh yeah, absolutely. The Wii U is incredible. The performance on the thing it's shocking how great it is. Yeah, and again, it just came down to me wanting to load so many high-resolution textures into memory because it was good at rendering high-resolution textures. So for me, it was a matter of reining it in. You got to rein it in, and you just got to accept, all right, I'll have to lower the resolutions so it all fits into memory. Did we? Did we really almost have Crisis on the Wii U? Wow, that would have been fantastic. Call of Duty looked great and other big titles. Yeah, you know, there are developers that did manage the ports quite well, that in a very impressive way. So it was good to see that we got some things that just looked fantastic and ran well. I'm going overhead. Let me see. All right, I'm looking at it. See, I'm checking the angle of attack. It's a bit too bunched up over here. I'm going to take that one. I'll move him. I'd like a bit more variety in terms of where the enemies can approach from. On my chest. That guy spawns there. 5. Where's my camera? Right, I think I'll move these guys over a bit. I want variety in the angles where enemies can spawn. Yep. Let's move this guy there. Okay. And just here. Hey, you guys want to get a close look at a monster? Let me see here. I don't want to spoil anything. I did have the guy that's in our marketing and trailer. Look, I'm going to wrap up the stream soon, but I'll share one of these guys with you before I go, so we have a fun way to cap this off. Let's see. Let me just track one of these down. Okay. You guys ready? Here we go. Let's take a look at this guy. Ah, what a fun, happy boy. Look at him. Don't tell anyone about this. I don't want to spoil the game for them. I'll just share this with everyone in the stream here. This is a secret between us. Don't tell anyone. This is a fun little guy. He's got weird patches of skin and flesh. Let's hide the gizmo here. Let's see. Let's open up his animator here. What have we got? Let's animate this guy. Move that off to the side a little. Let's see. What is this? What's this? Ooh, how'd you like one of those running after you in a forest? All right. Let's see. A fun little fella. He's cute, isn't he? He's a little cutie. This is a fun guy. There we go. All right, that's a secret between me and you guys. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone about this guy. I don't want any spoilers. He's got fun little nubs coming out of his arm sockets. There you go. Yum, yum, yum. And then for anyone interested in the sort of poly count details, let's see here. So this guy, he's 5,951 verts, or 5,578 triangles. So I can probably fit... You can get 2 of these guys comfortably on screen, and the frame rate will still be good. I would say 3, and then you'll notice like a little bit of a dip in the frames per second, and then 4 is when you're going to notice a substantial decrease, and then 5 of these guys on screen, and that, pardon me, that comes to the number of skinned polygons that the game has to render. Is generally where I find that I bottleneck in terms of performance. So in terms of gameplay, it's to our benefit that the game is a first person, because the human models are quite detailed, and that puts a bit of a stress on the GPU. So having it first person means that I can focus on having more enemies on screen that are detailed a bit. There's a fun guy there. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this game out. I'm a massive fan of light gun shooters. I grew up in the arcades. I love playing the any kind of shooting game. That's why I really enjoyed the Wii so much. They had a bunch of shooting games. I really like those. So for Frontier Fighters on the 3DS, how you can just sort of really zone out and just relax and keep collecting weapons and skills. That's the sort of um, flow that you get with Frontier Hunters in the upcoming Wii U game. Is you're just going to keep getting more skills, more weapons, and you just really chill. Yeah. Oh wow, we got Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric instead. Wow. Hi, Cheese Man. How's it going? Really kind of. Oh man, I love the liquor in Resident Evil. Resident Evil monsters have a charisma to them. It's important for me that monsters have charisma, and obviously, like you're running away from them. You don't want them to kill you, but in games, it's so cool to see the monsters. You know, there's a fun balance with monsters in games. Oh, yeah. I hope you're enjoying the music. I don't know if it's too quiet or not, or if you enjoy that. I'll turn it up a little bit. So I do the music all myself, and I'm going to try uploading them. I haven't uploaded the whole soundtracks to YouTube yet because I want to do it in an organized way where they're in a playlist and then they all have like a really cool um, video with fog and a scene and whatnot. I want to make sure that it's good. So I do want to share the soundtracks for the games on YouTube when I can. So yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out. It's been really fun chatting about games, and I always enjoy hearing from you guys. So I'll try to do another stream again soon, and then we can all hang out and chat games some more. Um, Good to hear your thoughts and also share some advice on what you can do about the Wii U disk drive burning out. Uh, Geez, man. The Queen TV game. What is that? I haven't heard of that. Is it I know there've been a lot of sort of brick break games and whatnot. Yeah, I just want to make something cool so that people can say, hell yeah, this is our game. It's just for the 3DS. It's just for the Wii U. It's a lot of fun, and you know, a developer that actually cares about um, these consoles and the people that use them. So yeah. And again, I want to make sure all of these games each have their own full soundtrack. Each of the games has their own uh, visual style, their own style of story, their own genre, and so I want to make soundtracks for each game that have their own unique feel to them, and that even if the game is off, or if you go to like the music listening menu, you can just listen to the soundtrack and chill for a while. Um, I uh, Before I locked down working on such a brutal schedule on these games, I loved going on road trips, especially driving at night, and I would just listen to Silent Hill music. And so I want to be able to create music that people can enjoy the same way, where they can just listen to it, and it's something, something that is enjoyable even outside of the games. So, okay, everyone, it's been a lot of fun hanging out. I really enjoyed this. This has been really cool. Um, and I'll try to do another stream again soon. I have to pick sections of game development where I can chat and then read and hang out while I do this. These tasks were pretty easy. They were quite chill, as you saw. Um, so yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'll end the stream now, but this isn't the end of chatting. You guys can always comment. You can DM if you want, and we're also on Twitter, Facebook, so feel free to join us on there. Instagram as well. Um, yeah, I really appreciate that, everyone. Thanks so much, and I'll keep it open for a minute in case anyone's got any questions or last-minute comments. Wouldn't it be funny, right, if I did like a make out. I did the dating sim, make out every one wish on like the original DS, and then you had a character pucker up on one side, and then a character pucker up on the other side, and then you had to close the screen to make them kiss. Wouldn't that be? That'd be terrible, right? If I did a Silver Falls dating sim where you closed it like that to make them kiss each other, that would be awful. uh, Look, streaming, obviously I'm going to work a little slower, but it's important to chat with people and hang out, and you know, spending time with people is very important. It lets people know that they matter, and I want people to know that I really care about these games, that I want to make games that they can enjoy. Because when people started hearing about these 7 games, obviously it sounded suspicious when a developer says, oh, I'm going to surprise launch 7 games. Of course it's going to sound like shovelware. So it's important to spend time with people, to chat, especially with fellow gamers. You want to hear what other people have to say. But yeah, this is just a good way to hang out and talk about games, and then to show people I really do care about bringing something cool to these consoles. So I'll stream again soon. We can all hang out. We can chat more. Maybe next time I'll work on the Silver Falls dating sim, and it's great, and I always enjoy hearing from other developers as well. We can chat about, you know, game development. So, okay, everyone, take care. It's been really fun. It's been great. Have a great day. I'm sorry if I kept anyone up late. Some people said that it was 3 or 4 a.m., but it's been awesome. I really enjoyed it. Take care of yourselves. We'll stream again soon. Be well, and I'll work as hard as I can to make these games really fun. See you, everyone. Take care. Thanks again.